Tansei, Samantha Nitsigasan, Nititanam, Anots Kakistakak. Hello, my name is Samantha and I'm grateful and thankful for today. I am a member of Big Rivers First Nations in Saskatchewan, and I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, and I now live in Soaring, British Columbia, where I've been for about 16 years now. I work with BC Emergency Health Services as an inter-facility emergency medical call taker, and I'm also a mother of 2 toddlers, a boy and a girl, and a wife to a German settler who I've also been with for about 16 years. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the land that I'm speaking from today. I'm joining you from South Surrey, British Columbia, on the unceded traditional territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including Semiahmoo First Nation and their surrounding nations. This is a place that I've lived on, learned on, grown on, and I also call my home. And I just want to take a moment to recognize that connection before we begin. When I was 14 years old, I had already dropped out of school. I was using, I was running. I didn't really have a place to go. I was in and out of homes, couch surfing, just trying to figure out where I was going to go to sleep. And at one point, I was even reported missing by my family. And if you had looked at my life at that time, you probably would have thought, yeah, that's how her life is going to go. And honestly, I thought that too. I thought I was too far gone.
I really believed that about myself. I thought I had already messed up my life. I thought I was too behind to ever catch up. And I carried that for a very long time. But what I didn't understand back then was that I wasn't broken. I was surviving in very unhealthy environments and around unhealthy people. And survival is not your identity. At that time, I didn't see myself as someone with a future. I didn't see myself as someone who could do anything different. I believed I was nothing. I believed that was just my life living on the streets with addiction. That this was it for me. But at the same time, there was this really quiet feeling inside of me, and it didn't make sense. Because even while I was living that life and choosing to find identity in these people and places, I felt like I wasn't meant for that life. And even though everything around me told me that I was, it felt crazy. I remember thinking, why do I feel like I'm meant for so much more when nothing around me looks like that? I didn't have a plan. I didn't have support the way that I needed it. I didn't even have the language to understand what I was actually carrying. I was surrounded by things and people that could have easily defined the rest of my life, and they almost did. I remember feeling the disconnect between their ability to give me purpose and identity, but also knowing that I was in very unsafe places. But these were the choices that I was making. And when you're in that, you're not thinking about your future. You're thinking about how to get through the day, how to stay safe, how to cope. And a lot of the choices I was making, they weren't because I was a bad person. They were because I was in survival, trying to find purpose and identity in places that weren't safe for me. And survival will have you doing things that don't reflect who you are. It was small decisions, messy decisions, trying, failing, trying again. And I want to slow this down for a second, because this is the part I wish someone had explained to me. When people say, change your life, or get out of that situation, it sounds big. It sounds overwhelming. But what it actually looked like for me was small, real things. It looked like creating even a little bit of distance from the people and the environments that were hurting me. even if it wasn't all at once. It looked like asking for help from my parents, even when I didn't trust it yet, and even when I didn't believe it would work. It looked like learning how to sit with myself without numbing everything, even for a few minutes at a time. And I want you to hear this clearly. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to have it all figured out, but you do have to start somewhere. Even one small decision in a different direction matters. And sometimes that decision is just deciding you deserve something different. Even one moment of choosing something different matters. And those small moments are what starts to change everything.
All right. I want you to take a second right now and think about your own life. What is one thing in your environment, or one person, or one pattern that you know isn't helping you? You don't have to fix everything, but you can create a little bit of space from it. Less interactions, less picking up that phone call or returning that text. And another question I want you to think about: who is one person you could reach out to, even if you're not quite sure that you can trust it yet? Mine was my support worker, Richard. I will never forget him. He was the one that I could lean on when things got dark, or when I needed help getting out of a bad situation. Because for me, change didn't start with everything. It started with one small and comfortable step. And if you're sitting there wondering what that actually looks like, here's what I would say. Start with your environment. If something or someone is consistently pulling you backwards, even a small amount of distance matters. Start with support. That might be a friend, a teacher, or like myself, a support worker, maybe even a family friend. Someone who sees something in you. And start with yourself. Even 5 minutes of sitting with your thoughts instead of trying to escape them is a step forward. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to start. For a long time, I felt stuck, like there was no way out, like this was just how my life was going to be. But that feeling inside me never went away. And then I met someone, and they came into my life. And that someone was my husband, and that is who I'm with today. He said something to me that I had never really heard before. He told me he saw so much more in me than what I was actually doing. And I didn't believe him right away, but it stayed with me because for the first time, something on the outside of me was matching what I had been feeling on the inside. And I started to think, what if that's true? What if I'm not who I think I am? And that didn't change everything overnight. It wasn't one big moment. It was small decisions, messy decisions, trying, failing, trying again. And slowly, I started to rebuild, not perfectly, but intentionally.
And over time, those small decisions changed everything. I became sober, I became clear-headed, and I started to actually think about my life instead of just reacting to it. And eventually, I stepped into spaces I never thought I would belong in. Today, I work inside healthcare systems, and I support Indigenous families navigating systems that I once struggled in myself. I found my voice. Not because my past disappeared, but because I stopped letting it define me. And that's why I'm here speaking to you today. Because I don't just want to tell you what I went through. I want you to understand that there is a way out, and that way out doesn't look perfect. It doesn't happen all at once. But it starts with small decisions, support, and continuing to believe that your life can look different.
And if you take anything from what I'm saying today, let it be this. You don't have to change your whole life today, just one thing. And if you don't know where to start with the thing you already know isn't helping you. One small decision in a different direction, and start there. Because I know what it feels like to think you're too far gone, to feel behind, to feel like your life is already decided for you. But I also know this, that feeling inside you that says you're meant for so much more, that's real. Even if nothing around you is reflecting it yet. And if no one has told you this before, I want to say it to you. You are not too far gone. You are not behind. Your past does not decide your future. And you still belong. Even here. Even right now. And if you can't see that for yourself yet, that's okay. Because I see it in you. The same way someone once saw it in me. You just have to stay long enough to become the person who proves it to be true. Kinanasko mitten.